Activision Blizzard CEO Rob Kostich has informed his employees that the company remains committed to DEI policies despite President Donald Trump's executive orders, making it clear that it is immoral and that he will be using the full powers of his office as well as the government to root out DEI from the private sector. So it looks like a battle might be shaping up between Activision Blizzard and the U.S. federal government here. Roll this up over at fandompulse.com. You can find the link in the description below. So this was shared to X by former World of Warcraft team lead Mark Kern, a.k.a. Grums. And you can see right here, this is what Rob Kostich told employees in what looks like a Microsoft Teams post that was sent to Grums, was leaked to Grums. And Kostich says, given the headlines around diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in the workplace, it's no surprise that questions have come up about what the future looks like at Activision and whether our focus and priorities around DEI shift. To be clear, this work continues to be extremely important in everything that we do. It's important to our games, our culture, and who we are as a company. Our inclusive growth team has made great strides in helping us weave inclusivity in all aspects of business. Our strategy here remains focused on enhancing the experiences of all employees, providing exceptional experiences to players globally, and providing accessible opportunities to those interacting with our company and brand. I look forward to all the great work we'll continue to do together. So he's doubling down on their DEI policies that clearly are based on race and sex when it comes to hiring, and they're obviously using it to also inject propaganda into their video games and push things such as transgenderism, which we'll get to here in a little bit. So this statement does come after President Donald Trump issued an executive order titled Ending Illegal Discrimination and Restoring Merit-Based Opportunity, where he observed that critical and influential institutions of American society, including the federal government, major corporations such as Activision Blizzard, financial institutions, and the medical industry, large commercial airlines, law enforcement agencies, and institutions of higher education have adopted and actively used dangerous, demeaning, and immoral race and sex-based preferences under the guise of so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion. Activision Blizzard definitely does do that, as we will see here in a little bit, or diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility that can violate the civil rights laws of this nation. The order continues saying illegal DEI and DEI policies not only violate the text and spirit of our longstanding federal civil rights laws, they also undermine our national unity as they deny, discredit, and undermine the traditional American values of hard work, excellence, and individual achievement in favor of an unlawful, corrosive, and pernicious identity-based spoils system. So that is what he is describing what Activision Blizzard is doing. They are engaging in an unlawful, corrosive, and pernicious identity-based spoil system by having these DEI, DEIA policies throughout their company. Hardworking Americans who deserve a shot at the American dream should not be stigmatized, demeaned, or shut out of opportunities because of their race or sex, which Activision Blizzard, in my opinion, is doing that, as, again, we'll see here in a little bit. These illegal DEI and DEI policies also threaten the safety of American men, women, and children across the nation by diminishing the importance of individual merit, aptitude, hard work, and determination when selecting people for jobs and services in key sectors of American society, including all levels of government and the medical, aviation, and law enforcement communities. Yet, in case after tragic case, the American people have witnessed firsthand the disastrous consequences of illegal, pernicious discrimination that has prioritized how people were born instead of what they were capable of doing. He then reiterated, saying that his order is to terminate all discriminatory and illegal preferences, mandates, policies, programs, activities, guidance, regulations, enforcement actions, consent orders, and requirements. He then charged, I further order all agencies to enforce our longstanding civil rights laws and to combat illegal private sector DEI preferences, mandates, policies, programs, and activities. So he is going to bring the full force of the law against these private sector companies like Activision Blizzard that continue to promote DEI, which he has described as illegal and immoral. In a section specifically aimed at the private sector, the executive order says the heads of all agencies, with the assistance of the Attorney General, shall take all appropriate action with respect to the operations of their agencies to advance in the private sector the policy of individual initiative, excellence, and hard work identified in Section 2 of this order. The first part of this is a report that will be submitted to the Assistant to the President for Domestic Policy that will, quote, contain recommendations for enforcing federal civil rights laws and taking other appropriate measures to encourage the private sector to end illegal discrimination and preferences, including DEI. So he's asking for recommendations from these federal agencies to give him measures to root out DEI from the private sector. That's the first part. This report will include a plan whereby each agency, shall identify up to 9 potential civil compliance investigations of publicly traded corporations, large nonprofit corporations or associations, foundations with assets of $500 million or more. I think that Activision Blizzard qualifies. State and local bar and medical associations and institutions of higher education with endowments over $1 billion. It will also include litigation that would be potentially appropriate for federal lawsuits, intervention, or statements of interest, and potential regulatory action and sub-regulatory guidance. So President Donald Trump is not messing around in this executive order, saying that he's going to bring the full force of the government to bear on these companies that are engaging in these illegal and immoral practices, illegal and immoral DEI policies and practices. He says right here that there could be lawsuits and there could be potential regulatory action as well as sub-regulatory guidance. He's literally targeting the wealthiest of these institutions, $500 million in assets or $1 billion in endowments. So that's looks like who he's going to target first. And Activision Blizzard is right there at the top, being a subsidiary of Microsoft. So I said we'd get to what Activision Blizzard has been up to. We know what they've been up to because they literally posted on their website. They have a whole 2023-2024 diversity, equity, and inclusion report. In that report, it says, this is what Rob Kostich said in that report. And see it right here. At Activision, diversity, equity, and inclusion is a critical component of our future success. Our journey toward fostering DE&I began years ago, fueled by the passion and stories shared by employees. To fulfill our vision of becoming the most inclusive blockbuster games company, we have embedded DE&I in every aspect of our operations. We strive to create an environment where our talented employees can thrive and do the best work of their lives. And by integrating DEI into our game development process, we can evolve our games to better resonate with a broader audience and to better foster community around the world. This is all a bunch of BS. We saw this. Marvel Studios gave all these talking points. Victoria Alonso was going around, if we don't represent, we're not going to make any money. Someone else will try to take that opportunity and take over that market sector. Well, what happened? They started doing their representation stuff with movies like Eternals, and their entire Marvel Cinematic Universe has gone into the toilet. And they're having to reverse course very quickly. So this is all a bunch of BS. We have real-life examples showing that this does not actually work. Every initiative we undertake is driven by the belief that we are building a better future for our people and our players. And we can also just look at video games last year, right? Just look at all the games that embraced this, were infected by Sweet Baby Inc., and they absolutely tanked, failed, and those companies are laying off a lot of their employees, some of them even shutting down. Embracing diverse perspectives is not only the right thing to do, that's also not true. If someone is actively promoting evil, why would you want to embrace that? It's ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. But it also enables us to make informed decisions that shape the future of gaming and entertainment. It is an exciting time to now be a part of Xbox. And remember, the executive order makes it clear that this is immoral, right? So it understands that if you're embracing all of these diverse perspectives, which is built into the DEI agenda, it's immoral. It's not true. Because critical race theory is wrong, because it is literally valuing people just based on their skin color. It's just not true, or their sex, or what their quote unquote sexuality happens to be if they have disordered sexual preferences. So we know this is not true. Even from a logical standpoint, we can reason that out. It is an exciting time to now be a part of Xbox, who shares our perspective and commitment. While we acknowledge that there is still work to be done, we always embrace the challenge of continuous improvement. Champion DE&I became one of our core values because of the unwavering passion and dedication of our exceptional employees, and it will remain a core focus of ours to help fuel our future growth. So he's saying that Champion DEI is one of the company's core values. We know that it is illegal and immoral, so we'll see what happens. But again, this is what they were putting in this 2023-2024 Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Report. We also know that they literally track their employees by race and gender. You can see that right here, where they give a breakdown of all of their employees' race and gender. And then, they tell us that they literally are hiring based on these factors. So there's a reason why they are tracking this, because so they can hire people based on this. I mean, it literally says that's what they are doing right here. This woman right here says, in gaming, the talent population can be limited depending on the role. Our work in partnership with the DE&I team is to be strategic partners to our studios, provide resources to educate and support our hiring managers, and attract diverse talent at the start of the process. If that's not saying that they discriminate in their hiring practices, I don't know what is. That is what they are doing. They admit it here in their report. They are admitting that they are discriminating based on race and sex in their report, and they do it because they have these DEI policies. And so not only is it obviously in the hiring process, but they put it in their games too, right? That's what Kostich just said. And we have one slide here where they're literally trying to push the transgender agenda, pushing transgender propaganda, and specifically trying to push it on children, because they're putting it in Crash Team Rumble. They have this character named Catbat, and this is what they say on their little slide here. It is important that our games authentically showcase different cultures, identities, and lived experiences. One example we're excited is Catbat, Activision's first non-binary character. There's no such thing. There's male and female, and that's it. There is no such thing as non-binary. Completely and totally made up, fictional. Someone living in a delusion created this, whose mind is not sound. And lots of people's minds are clearly not sound at Activision Blizzard, because it went up through the process of getting greenlit. Catbat made his debut in the multiplayer game Crash Team Rumble, an escaped prisoner of antagonist Dr. Neo Cortex, and as a lover of rock and roll, Catbat is also the series' first character voiced by a, quote, gender-fluid actor who uses all pronouns. So they're literally hiring people to voice these things as well that are obviously disordered and just completely delusional. So this is just a piece of what they're doing. The whole report is absolutely disgusting and shows just how evil, immoral, as President Trump says in an executive order, and illegal what this company has been doing is. So they're doubling down on it. This is something we will definitely be following. I think this is going to come to a head very quickly, and we'll see who is the boss. And I have a feeling it's not going to be Rob Kostich. I have a feeling Rob Kostich is going to fold like the Colombian president when Donald Trump brings to bear the federal government on Activision Blizzard. I don't think that he's going to be able to really do anything to fight this, because he knows deep down what he's doing is wrong. And it's not only wrong, but it is illegal. So we will see what happens here. I have a feeling that Activision Blizzard is going to lose bigly to President Donald Trump and his administration that has had enough of this evil that has been plaguing our country and our society for the last number of years. But let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, especially to each other, and to always speak the truth. And never forget that everything woke turns to crap.